Have some respect.
Have some prunes.
Why, you? I ought to take this and just give it to one.
With new games like King.
All my friends are dead, but now I save on Christmas gifts. I buy the things I want for me, and no one will get pissed. Way back then I was expected just to volunteer. Since all my friends are dead, well, I suppose I'm in the clear.
Now I'm going to show you two really big old elms. 5 to 6 inches in diameter, gnarled and old. So is this one. And these are all the new leaves that have started emerging from the tree. Don't worry about the leaves, some being big and some small. Look at these two elms side by side. That elm has got very small leaves. That may be a slightly different species, while this one has got big leaves. So much about the elm. So the secret to growing them successfully indoors is to keep them in a cool room with lots of light. It's called Juniper chinensis procumbens nana. Some people call it Juniper procumbens nana, meaning it is a prostrate procumbens, you know. It is creeping on the ground and it never gets tall. It is ideal for making bonsai because it has this creeping and twisted habit. Such a lot of foliage on these plants, and these plants are about 4 years old, I think. So you saw me do, what I did was to just remove the pot because the roots are quite compact and all the roots will hold the soil together. So the first thing I do is to remove the soil from around the base of the tree to reveal the trunk. You notice that you can often create a shape simply by pruning with scissors. See what I've done? I've removed the extra branches, what I call extraneous branches. You can clearly see the trunk just by pruning a few extra branches out of the way. So I'm going to put the wire into the soil. You can see what I'm doing. The wire is inserted into the soil near the trunk, adjacent to the trunk. And I'm going to wire the trunk very tightly. Don't worry about it marking or anything. In fact, the marks on the trunk with junipers and pines add to the character of the tree.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm internet personality Malcontent, and this is another episode of 10minutedailyvideo.net, your place for 10minutedailyvideo.net. What you may or may not know about our show is that our mission statement is this: everything for everyone, all the time. I don't want to be pigeonholed as any particular type of YouTuber. I want to use YouTube as the medium in which my art is expressed. I want to do some more crafting type projects. Some of these crafting projects, you're just going to have to go along with me that I'm able to do them for reasons. So in the future, there'll be some video and stuff. Right now, there's very little video. This is mostly post stuff and some photos. I started this video with a brief introduction of Bonsai with Peter Chan. Everything I've used here is mostly from Peter Chan. You don't have to do necessarily any of the stuff I did here. I sort of got kind of in the weeds looking for pots that met a criteria that I didn't need to. So next time, I'm happy to report that I'll be able to do more interesting things next time I look for more junipers and pots. But I'm going to say for my first two, I'm very happy with them. Some of the stuff is going to sound defensive, but it's really just explaining my thought process based on some of the stuff I showed you at the beginning of the video. This photo here is just the materials I went in with. I have some thick wire from this wire here is from an electrical, like unused or not able to be used again, wire from an electric fence. And that is what I use to wire all of these up with. I have some flimsy, not very good wire that I ended up using. And I have an old pair of pliers that I use to bend it back into official shape. But this is a creeping juniper. So the idea, this is gonna drip like this. You can see, I just want you to see how much foliage is here. This is more of an upstanding juniper style. It's more piney. It's still, I think it's still a juniper technically, but it's kind of more of a Christmas tree. If you planted this in the ground, it would get quite large. Try to ignore the Gravistar speaker in the back. Do I recommend Gravistar speakers? Yeah, I know, they're fun. Do you have could you get a better speaker, a little bit more reliable that has more features and stuff that didn't look like a cool robot? Yeah. So this is the more, when I first got this one here, I thought this would be the more stubborn of the two, but I actually think this ended up having more potential. So you can see how much taller this was. I clipped all the tips. Oh, sorry, Gravistar. I clipped all of the tips here because, again, the theory with bonsai, one of the things that I think is important to understand while you're manipulating these little trees is that they are supposed to look like trees. Is the wiring kind of bad here? Yeah, it's pretty haphazard. Is definitely my first wiring job. Would I have tightened that up differently if I had the pliers ahead of time? Yes. I don't know quite where these branches are going to go, which is why I kind of like this one a lot. All right, so this is on that pine. You can see the roots. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with it. You can see that there's a long root that is connected there on top. That root might eventually choke down. I'm hoping what'll happen is it'll either... I don't know what's going to happen. It's more of an experiment than anything. But you can see where the trunk is really interesting, where the root bends into itself like that and spins around like that. This is all very sloppy, but I think it's still going to do exactly what I want it to. And once, in a year, this will all build back up into being a bushier thing here, as well as the other one. This here is wired a lot more than I would have otherwise, mostly because this branch right here, where my mouse is, this is nearly torn in half. There's a big chunk that goes this way and a big chunk that goes this way. And I want all of this stuff to grow around this mess of wiring. This is some tin-ass bullshit wiring. I don't think it's going to last very long. It's probably going to fall apart pretty soon. In a year, hopefully, we can manipulate this because it's been built back up. Worst case scenario, Peter Chen would tell me maybe just cut that whole thing off, and that's always an option. Do you see where it branches off? I could just cut that whole thing off. It'd be fine. It'll regrow. So I'm hoping that this will keep growing. Okay, I'll keep updating. Up here is a problem. When I get some better wire, I'm going to loop this around here and tighten this down to this wire here. All right, so this is the juniper. I want to talk about the wiring just a bit. This here, it's got a lot of wiring on it. I suspect it's going to... I love these pots, by the way. These pots were a complete find. I kind of want to go back and get more. These junipers here are the best things that you can get. This is a creeping juniper, so it's all of the foliage is going to want to droop down, which is going to give it like this kind of willow-like appearance that I think is going to be really cool. I clipped not that much out of it, but it basically, I looked at it at the nursery. It had a really great trunk. And honestly, if I had realized how good and easy this would have been, I would have grabbed 3 or 4 more. But that's okay. Not a big deal. Junipers are very common. Find them anywhere. If you look at right here in this main branch on the right, it's not the lead. The lead is this middle one. But you see this one on the right? I'm stressed it quite a bit. It may end up being really scarred and stuff right there, but I'm hoping with all the weird wiring and everything, I'm hoping we just get a really gnarled and interesting trunk out of this guy. This is Chris. Chris is short for Christmas tree material. That's because he is made of Christmas tree material. I named this tree Henry because this is the first bonsai tree I picked out for myself. Long story short, everything I learned to do these bonsais, I learned from Peter Chen's YouTube channel, Heron's Bonsai.
This is your front. Now I've got to wire the branches in order to get this S shape or the informal upright shape. this situation, I have a branch which is very low. Whether I use it or not, I will have to decide. I will use it first and I will then show you that I may not need it.
He's an incredible guy. I'm looking to try to get some of his books. His YouTube videos are incredible. I've looked at other people's stuff and they're great. And if you learn better from any of these other guys, fine. To me, he's perfectly practical for me. He makes it clear what the mission is. He has information on fertilizer, trimming. The guy's very old. He has tons of information. He's located in the UK.
So when they call it Zelkova parviflora, this is the wrong name. I won't go into the politics of why this was called Zelkova, but suffice it to say is that the elm was regarded as a dangerous species because there was Dutch elm disease in the mid-60s and early 70s when all the elms throughout Europe were decimated by the Dutch elm disease. So people are afraid of elm, so they don't call it elm. The Chinese elm is not called an elm, and they call it Zelkova, but it is a true elm.
Bonsai is a new passion project for me. I haven't really done it before, but it mixes a lot of things I'm kind of familiar with together. Okay, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. There's a Patreon in the bottom. This is a more personal project than I normally do. I normally talk about media and stuff, so I hope you enjoyed this here for Christmas Eve. Oh, do bonsai. Holiday tradition from now on. We're going to check in on these two bonsais for sure. So I'll see you next year for sure to check in on Henry and Christmas material.